Welcome to the Cultivating Business Growth podcast, bringing you bi-weekly discussions designed to help you grow your business and create the lifestyle you desire. Elevate your business with proven strategies from virtual CFOs, CPAs, and business advisors. We discuss real-world challenges solved with actionable steps that get you the results you need, both in business and building the life you deserve.
Welcome to episode number 174 of the Cultivating Business Growth podcast, brought to you by Willow Virtual CFO. Today, we are excited to discuss how technology can transform your business with Brian Zielinski. Brian is the president and managing director of ShapeConnect, a company that helps businesses simplify the process of finding the best B2B software and services. With leadership experience in billion-dollar healthcare companies and time as a signal officer in the U.S. Army, Brian brings a unique perspective to business and tech strategy. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, glad you could be here today. So I'm sure you probably get questions when you introduce yourself as having experience as a signal officer in the U.S. Army. So is there anything you want to share that people usually ask you about there?
There's a lot of questions you can get around that. I think what's relevant maybe to our conversation is I had the opportunity to work in some roles. In particular, I was a contracting officer representative. That was one of the responsibilities I had in Afghanistan, in which we worked on the C4 IT services contract. So trying to understand the software tools and the different IT support that was needed to run that theater. And so I definitely learned a lot in that process, and I do think it helped shape, what we built with ShapeConnect.
Awesome. Very cool. Yes. Well, thank you for your service. Definitely appreciate that.
Of course, yes.
I'm a military brat, so I didn't serve, but I went along with my parents around the world as they did.
You know what it's about. Yep.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. Okay, so I know we talked a little bit about but these technology audits and kind of looking at that. So I thought we like to start with the why a lot of times. Why are things important? Why would we want to do them? So if you could tell us a little bit about why technology audits do matter.
Well, I think they matter now, especially. I think there was a bigger window companies had to understand and diagnose what technology changes made sense for their company. I think the window of that has condensed a little bit because of, we all have heard the news over the last, 3-4 years of AI and its capabilities. That all kind of comes together in terms of thinking about an integrated tech stack and trying to eliminate manual processes for speed. And so we think companies that are speedier, better customer experience, more automated, are going to have a lot of additional value for the customer and for their employees. People do want to work for companies that have a modern approach. It is part of your retention as well. So just trying to get a handle on it. An audit is a good place to start in working with somebody that spends their day assessing the technology marketplace.
Yeah, I think it's super important, and we're definitely in that, very technological age and moving more in that direction. So definitely getting into those systems and out of the manual things as much as possible. We're big proponents of making things efficient as well for lots of reasons. As you said, better experience for everybody. Cost savings, of course, come into play with regards to efficiencies in labor, et cetera. So that's always a good thing for sure. What would you say as far as if there's like a simple way to describe a technology audit, like what are the things that you would do, for example?
So in the way that we look at technology audits, it's mostly focused on the software stack and the data. There's IT firms out there that will look at your the cybersecurity, how you manage your hardware. We're looking at information flow. So how information among your different software tools is flowing, how you're storing your data, and so that we can find the automation opportunities and the efficiency for getting your reports more easily, all of those things. So IT firms don't necessarily fill that gap. They're your help desk. They are they'll get you your Microsoft set up. They'll put your cybersecurity in place. They'll troubleshoot issues as you have them. But the information flow piece is definitely more in our realm. And the way we're going about it is, we've built a platform in which we are cataloging, the software providers by certain verticals and learning about different tools and then learning which tools work together well. So we're building that back-end intelligence and that infrastructure with our ShapeConnect platform. We call it Software Connect, our tool. And so that we believe is the best way to do this is if we can get proprietary data and information about software vendors combined with the human expertise of our team, Mark leading the Software Connect unit, then I think that's how we can help companies, move a little bit more quickly in making a confident decision around these software tools that are going to make an impact in their company.
So you have experience working with those softwares and, like you said, kind of creating tech stacks for certain industries, and you're in construction or you're in healthcare or you're, in whatever industry you might be in, you guys have kind of that up-to-date knowledge about the softwares that work well in those industries. And I'm sure there's a few options depending on, the specifics of the business or what exactly they need data flow wise. But it's great to know that, there's people that have been through the process. Like, we're not recreating the wheel. That's always a big challenge with making a change, right, to your software is the setup and the, not that you don't have to go through that, but if you have already vetted the softwares that work together and the things that go well, you're that much more beyond having to try to sort all that out or starting something that ultimately doesn't work or what have you, right? So
one of our initial applications of AI ourselves internally is how to use AI to be more prescriptive and be intelligent with, like you said, we understand if a $30 million construction company is working with us, okay, what might a good tech stack look like, and it can kind of understand the integrations, understand what might play well together, and be appropriate for that company. So there's an intake process from the company we're working with, and then again, the AI can help strengthen our ability to make the right recommendations.
And I know some people are thinking, well, I'm not a huge company. I don't, necessarily need this, but I think you have some reasons why it's especially important, right, for small and medium-sized businesses even to look at those too.
Well, if you want to become a bigger company, I think that's been, this is one of the catalysts. It might be the primary catalyst for how to get there. We've worked with some great companies that were on the move in terms of, they grew successfully to a certain threshold. I think there was a roofing company that where it was somewhere between that $70-80 million mark, and just felt like they hit a break point. QuickBooks was the back end for them, and trying to manage inventory, all of it, roofing company storage. They needed something that could bring together more than just, their accounting. And so through an ERP selection process, we landed on Acumatica for them. They had a nice construction edition that was a good, just kind of a good next step after QuickBooks. And, that has enabled scaling for them up to the $160 million mark. So, I think it would have been hard to get there had they not, improved that core solution in terms of moving to an ERP. Obviously, we came with some additional bolt-ons to the ERP, but that was certainly the nucleus that enabled, their next step and really doubled their revenue for that organization.
Yeah. And obviously budgeting and software costs, of course, is part of the process, but we also like to recommend looking at doing that, regularly. And really the smaller you are, the easier it is to make changes and to implement things and then build them to scale, right? So you have this process and now you're able to scale more comfortably, more easily, et cetera, because you've kind of put that front end work into put yourself in a position to where you want to grow to, right? So that's another suggestion that we make to people is like it's better to do it now if you are a little smaller and want to grow than to put it off down the line. And there's different phasing, and of course I would assume of different softwares that you can move into as you go and have more budget available. But yes, I think definitely that's something we recommend too. So okay, so how about some of the key components of a modern technology audit? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, I think the first piece of the modern technology audit is getting a clear picture of organizational issues, and that encompasses stakeholders that use the tools, providing feedback. And one of the obstacles a lot of companies have, smaller businesses, is who's going to lead that effort? Who's going to go around to the head of accounting? Sometimes the accounting person gets tagged with this responsibility, and it's okay, I've got to manage our budgets, I got to do all the other things, and now I've got to go around and figure out what's broken in certain workflows and where we have the inefficiencies. And it's that question of, is that the best use of that person's time or whoever you designate for that responsibility? So in our capacity, we've come in and we've filled that void. A lot of smaller companies, and when I say smaller, I mean, you're looking at even 75, 100 million, may not even have a kind of a director of IT or a CIO function in their business. And that might be the type of person to be responsible for it. But even that individual has conflicting items to deal with, a lot of help desk, a lot of other things. And
not all the information either. I know we've come across, if you have IT says we should do this, but accounting is like, but it doesn't do all the stuff we need, or, we need something to integrate with it if it's going to work or whatever. So I've definitely seen that in companies where, things take off in this direction, but you don't bring all the stakeholders together that, need all the information and data coming and flowing, through whatever systems they're utilizing. So that's important as well.
Right. And it's kind of good to have a neutral party sometimes to evaluate the tool. If there's opinions in different departments in the business, and that's an issue we've seen where sales department will pick a CRM, disconnected from what, the ERP they're selecting. Or, I mean, you see these type of things all the time. HR picks a payroll solution that maybe, didn't quite tap into the ERP or connect well to the ERP. That doesn't always have to be the case, but there are considerations to look at in terms of having the holistic picture. And that's, I think, an element of the tech evaluation where you have to do that initial assessment and just understand the stakeholders, and then help the stakeholders understand each other and where they have their breakdowns. And, we facilitate some of that effort. So that is absolutely the first step we look to accomplish for companies.
I mean, I know security and risk assessment sounds, obviously that's something you guys help with as well. Huge out there, unfortunately, that we all have to be really concerned about that. But there's a ton of issues there, and making sure that we have software that has up to standard, I guess, securities and assessments. And you guys help with that, sounds like. So that's great.
Yeah, I think that goes back into our cataloging of and vendor profiling that we have, and understanding, the SOC 2, the other facets of how they secure data. We ask for specific information. We do coordinate if there's an IT partner that the company works with. We'll interface with them as well, and just ensure that we're leveraging things like two-factor, or some of the tools bring some capability to add security. Cloud, moving things to the cloud. That also can be advantageous from a security standpoint.
And an access standpoint for sure too. Having stuff in the cloud is very helpful for integratable things, as far as access for your team or for your consultants or whoever you might be working with. Cloud-based is definitely an awesome way to go with regards to that. So okay, great. So let's see. I know you gave one example, but maybe you have some others of how a business used an automation system to grow or save time and money.
Yeah, I mean, I probably have a couple good ones. We had we'll stay in the construction lane for a minute, but one great project we had was a company that did renovations for multifamily home units, right? So, they got condo complexes, things of that nature, multifamily home units, and they had been leveraging Salesforce, and for a variety of reasons. I mean, Salesforce can do many things. At its core, it's a CRM, and so the company had multiple entities as well. It wasn't they had a main entity, and then they had 3 or 4 operating companies, and it was hard to get financial reporting. And so I think through working with other consultants on the CRM front, they tried to kind of make Salesforce function like an ERP. And kind of by the end of a significant investment, high 6-figure, maybe even into the 7-figure, all it was really doing is it was a chatter tool. It was almost like a Slack or a Teams, and using some of the CRM capability, but it really didn't fulfill the company's needs. And that's again where a true ERP was a better option. And the unfortunate part is you have to go through that. There's that sunk cost fallacy of we've invested so much into this other tool, and now we have to change directions, but the other tool is costing you the efficiency, it's costing you time, it's costing headaches. And so making that change, I think, was a real success. And then you do sunset $250,000 of spend on another tool. So, sometimes there can be cost savings when you kind of get the right tool in place that's doing the right thing. And again, we do like to be that. We are not a consultant advisor. Our platform isn't, biased towards any particular software vendor. So it to us, it's about what's the best fit for the company. We don't come in as a Salesforce consultant or anything like that to help you solve. We don't have that kind of conflict, I would say. And I think that is an advantage for us to, we're not, they run up the tabs sometimes. It just happens. It's just part of it. And it's not maybe knowingly or unknowingly. I think most time it's unknowingly, or they're trying to make their solution work. But it's not their job to recommend another solution that could be a better fit or complement, the solution they represent. So again, that's kind of the void we fill. And it just seems to be a growing need to just kind of have that fractional support in place for companies.
Yeah. I mean, technology as it grows and gets more complex, and in good and bad ways, it's complex, but it's good because most of the complexity also allows us those integratable pieces that we really want them to talk to each other and do those kinds of things. But figuring that all out, and, not having the experience and the list of vendors and the things that you guys have gone through, I mean, that's definitely a much more difficult process to go through without having those experiences and having the knowledge there. And like you said, that, probably ignorantly, salespeople will say, oh, it'll do this and it'll do that. And then you're partway through the onboarding and it's not really doing exactly what you needed and things like that. So, yeah.
That does remind me of one other success story in which we were working with actually a non-for-profit group in Chicago, Ladder Up. And they had a CRM. It was kind of like a CRM, Excel files, and then they had another tool called Aplos, which they were using as part of their accounting function. And Aplos was a tool designed for the non-for-profit space, managing donations, things of that nature. When we do part of that a tech audit or evaluation, sometimes we look at the core tools they have and say, the first thing we assess is, are they using what they have well? They may have the right tool. It isn't always about going out, we got to replace something or add on something. And in certain instances, it is, hey, you have a great tool, and you just maybe need to use another module of that tool, or we can leverage it better and differently. And so that was the case with Ladder Up, where Aplos was a good solution for them. They had a CRM type functionality. We did sunset an additional CRM they had. So those licenses went away. They leaned more into the Aplos product. And then, we did some small projects too that helped with donation management. For example, there was a landing page we built through Aplos that integrated into their website so they could collect more digital donations. And then, of course, all of that, and that was promoted, and that helped elevate, more digital donations coming in. And then the accounting process got easier too, because it was all within that one system. So There are opportunities. I mean, we had a recent company in the area, electrical company, and same type of thing, using modern ERP solution. It was just we need to use it better. And I think the other advantage ShapeConnect is we have the two sides of software and service providers. Sometimes we bring the service providers in to help the software side. So we provide a level of implementation guidance, but we have a pool of experts that are excellent in terms of building reporting, or they can come in on that ERP and fill in the gaps. Sometimes the VAR, the resellers, or the software vendor themselves can't tailor the system as quickly as the customer would like. We can bring a service provider in that can move the needle faster. And we've certainly done that with the electrical company in Chicago as well. So it's a good tool, just had to optimize it better for their environment.
Yeah, and that's great to consider with the service providers for the setup or changing of whatever needs to happen, because a lot of these systems, and obviously I speak more from the accounting side, being that's where we work more often, though there's definitely that integration with the operations, and we try to be very holistic and looking at serving all departments of the business, not just the accounting needs. But there's a lot of things as you look to switch systems or optimize systems, et cetera, with regards to how it's set up and structured, that can make a huge impact in the business. So bringing in those people that are experts in the area of, of finance, in the area of reporting, in the area of operation, whatever that may be, and then overlaid, of course, with the expertise in the software that you're looking at as well, kind of having that all jiving together. It definitely can make for a little bit more upfront mapping work, but I feel like that's a lot of times what gets missed in what I've seen and experiences that I've had with people moving to things like Sage Intacct or et cetera, different accounting systems or different ERP systems, is like when you don't implement well, or you don't, phase well, it's a bad experience. And, whoever's trying to use it is frustrated. And then you already get pushback on change, right? Like people don't like to change. No one likes to change. You're gonna get pushback on that regardless. You have to get by and you have to get those things. But then when things are really clunky and don't work well, that's a lot to overcome. It's a lot of inefficiencies, and then people don't trust the system, and then there's a lot of back and forth. So I think a lot can be said too for that upfront analysis, that upfront planning, just like anything else, you're planning, mapping out, are things going to be perfect? No, never. They're never going to be perfect. I don't care how great you plan things, there's always going to be something. But the more you can minimize that and get it set up for a good long-term solution and position, and overcome those things, you're going to get people to use it more willingly, I guess. And I don't want to say that they're trying to be begrudging, but they like their old ways, and they kind of will not want to implement, and they'll try to keep both for a while because they don't trust the new system, or things like that'll happen. And obviously there's some time for paralleling systems, but yeah, if you can make it a good, smooth situation for the users, the buy-in is huge. It makes things a lot better. So
we definitely try to think of our customers in terms of road mapping their organization. And so kind of like the military, the operational planning, operation order, it's you hit the phase lines, and we look at each phase of the implementation and say, okay, we try to be a step ahead for the user. If there's the customer, if there is the potential that we go live with the ERP, and what were the priorities to go live with. I mean, there's many modules you can select, and we try to prioritize that. And then if there is going to be an expert needed, we've probably identified it, where if the VAR, the VARs the value-added resellers for these software tools in many cases have to run multiple engagements, and they can be busy or a little less busy. But if a customer is trying to get to a little bit more tailored solution faster, that is where we will have kind of that partner stack of experts also available to move that phase along, so it doesn't linger, and you minimize the employee frustration during each phase of your implementation.
Yeah, Okay. Yeah, definitely. Very cool. All right. So, okay. So let's see. So for listeners, if you guys are looking to assess your overall business health, Willow Virtual CFO also offers a cultivator program, which is a cost-effective way to prioritize high-impact changes. And pairing that up with a tech audit could be a great game changer for you and your business. So take a look at that. You can find that, at our podcasts on our website as well. And then, Brian, how about where they should go to find you? What's the best options there?
Yeah, they can go to shapeconnect.com or visit us on LinkedIn. On our website, when you go to the Software Connect page, you can take a brief, kind of brief high level evaluation and share your goals or some of the obstacles you're facing, and then we will connect with you and we can start the dialogue and maybe give you some feedback on some key considerations about where your tech stack is at and maybe where you should take it.
All right. Well, I think this was really informative and helpful to just know that there's these options out there. I'm not sure that all business owners really realize that there's an option for somebody to come in and provide this type of consultative service, like you're saying, to be able to, not just do IT, so to speak, but to really help you plan and map out and figure out what the best direction to go for your business is. So, do you have any final words or thoughts you'd like to leave our listeners with from there?
I would say we appreciate the partnership with you, and accounting and technology overlap significantly. So we every time we get into a technology project, there is opportunities to enhance accounting processes and find all kinds of things that shore up your business and shore up your bottom line. So looking forward to collaborating further.
Yes, absolutely. We love our technology experts too. We like that efficiency coming in.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
we're looking forward to it as well. All right. Thanks, Brian. Well, keep that momentum going and we will see you next time.
Good. Thank you.